They hear each other. Larry Sharpe has traveled the country and has personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty. So happy that you are with me this afternoon. You can, if you want to, chat with me. You can call in after the first break, 585-346-3000. You know, I was thinking about something from when I was a kid. I grew up, as I told you in the past, in the South Bronx as a little guy. And I remember I shifted schools and I had to go to a special school because I was special. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad. Well, whatever. I went to a special school back in the 70s, and it was called SPS 31, Special Public School 31. And this was in the Bronx on the Grand Concourse, and it was further away than my local school. Actually, that school has been torn down since then. It doesn't exist anymore. But it was in the Grand Concourse by like 140th Street in that area, 140th, 144th, something like that, in that area. No longer there. So I had to get on a regular city bus to go to school. I used to walk to school, but there were no school buses. So I just got on a regular bus. And it was a bus at that point that would go down the Grand Concourse. I'm sure there still is one. But back then, you'd go to Grand Concourse, you'd pop in, and you'd go. Well, back then, you had tokens. They didn't have cards or something. You had little tokens. It looked almost like they were brass or something. I don't remember what they were made out of, but it looked like they were like brass or something. And they had a little Y in them. So you'd go there and you put the token in and you go. My mom gave me a token and I went in there and went to school that day. Everything was fine. So the next day I come back and I say, hey, Mom, can I have that token? She goes, yeah, aren't they going to do something? I said, what do you mean? I'm like 7. I'm like a kid, I'm like 8. So she goes, okay, gives me another token. So I go again. Next morning, I ask again. And she's like, looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, what? You give me the token, I go to school. Give me the token, I'm going to school. What's the problem? She goes, aren't they going to give you like a bus pass or something? I said, bus pass? I don't know what that is. Are they going to give you like some way to get to school without me having to pay every day? And I'm like, I don't know. And she got mad at me. And I'm like, I'm 7. I don't know how this works. Like, I have no idea. She goes, go to your teacher and see if there's a bus pass. So she gives me the token again. I head to school and I ask my teacher. And I say, hey, is there something like a bus pass or something? And she says, Larry, we've been talking about the bus pass like every day since you started. I went, oh, I didn't think it was affecting me because I had tokens. And she was like, no, just, yes, we can get you a bus pass. And back then you had a little colored bus pass that would change every month and you would flash it and you get in the bus for free because you were a kid, a student going to school. That's how it worked. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't care. I had a token every day. Why did I want to solve this problem? I didn't understand the value of money. I was 7. My mom had magic tokens. I just kept taking them until someone said, I'm not giving you tokens, fix this. And then I did. And we were fine. Why do I tell you this story? Because that's New York City with our migrants. Literally the same thing. Larry, we've had a migrant problem in New York City for years. True. It's been a problem. True. We haven't fixed it. True. Why not? Because Uncle Joe's been giving us tokens for years. Uncle Joe has been giving us tokens for years. Why would we get a bus pass? There's no requirement. Why are we fix this? The migrant industrial complex that I've been talking about for years has been here. And some of you have said, wait a minute, Larry, it can't be that bad. Oh yeah, it is. Just found out 4 FEMA agents are going to be fired because of course, Elon Musk Doge going in, figuring things out. And they, behind the backs of the government, gave $59 million to New York City hotels. Let me say that number again. $59 million. That's just that we know of. That's just the illegal part that we know of. That's not the regular legal amount, which is in the billions. That's just the illegal ones. They weren't counting that we caught. So hotel owners have been making tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars off the federal government to house migrants. Why would you fix this? There's literally no reason to fix this. This hurts you to fix it. Why would you? You would say, no, I like getting paid. And the money keeps coming, and I do nothing. What are you going to do, migrants? What are you going to do? I keep making cash. And again and again and again, the cash kept coming. I kept telling you that. You kept saying, they got to change things. No, they don't. In fact, they shouldn't, because they make tons of cash. But not anymore. Because on top of that, they have now frozen federal funds coming to New York City. Uh-oh. No more tokens. How you can get to school? You got to find an answer, don't you? Now, some of you got mad at me when I said a couple weeks ago that I'm not mad if you want to be a sanctuary city or a sanctuary county. I'm not. You want to be a sanctuary county and support the Second Amendment because the federal government won't, because the state government won't. I'm on board. You want to have migrants in your city? Okay. But you can't have any federal money, can you? No. None. No federal money. What does that mean? If you want to have migrants in your city, okay. You have to have a plan now, which was my problem the entire time. You want to have them? Okay. No worries. You got to pay for them. You need a plan. How are you going to figure this out? They go, Larry, they can't. Then they can't be a sanctuary city, can they? You must be responsible if you want to be a sanctuary county or a sanctuary city. I'm okay. You're responsible. If you would like to have migrants not having housing and roaming the streets, good for you. Guess what? New York City doesn't want that, particularly in the Bronx. Boy, have I seen that in the Bronx. There's no tomorrow. They don't want it. So what do you have to do? Stop being a sanctuary city, or you have to find an answer. One of those two. And you can do it on your own without the federal government deciding that. And that's what I've always wanted. I want local people deciding what they think is right, paying the price that they want to pay, that they're okay paying. And if they're not okay paying with it, then no sanctuary city. If you're okay paying with it, okay, be a sanctuary city. No worries. You got to pay for what you want. I'm okay with that. And this is going to make that happen. Having the money go away means now New York State has to find an answer. Now, am I 100% sure of that? No. So there's the sad part. I may be celebrating a little bit early. It's true. But I'm happy about this because now what I said actually came to pass. Now what I said was true is obvious it was true. I mean, the people who knew. But people outside weren't sure. But now we got the data. Now we got them caught red-handed. We know it's true. What I've been saying for years is accurate. There's a migrant industrial complex. And people are making hundreds of millions of dollars to keep these migrants in New York City. That's happening. Now it's going away. Now, is it possible that they simply find some other government handout? Possible. I mean, if there's one thing bureaucrats are good at, is robbing taxpayers. I mean, they are good at that. That's one of their skill sets. So if there is a way to rob us, they may find one that I haven't thought of yet, you haven't thought of yet, maybe. I'm hoping no, because now they're worried about getting caught. The idea that those 4 guys or gals, I don't know if they're guys or gals, but whomever, getting fired, that's a good thing. Not because I'm happy these guys got fired. I mean, their lives are messed up now, and I hope they can find jobs. But now people recognize you screw around, you might lose your job, and that's what they care about. They don't care about the migrants. That's like way low on their priority. They don't care about the money, way low on their priorities. But the jobs, oh, they care about that a lot. So they might actually not be able to find a way because people may say, no, I'm not ready to scam because I'll lose my job. So no, I won't do it. So now New York City and other sanctuary cities are going to have to find a way to make an answer. Again, you want to be that? Okay. Find an answer. You don't have an answer? I guess you can't do this, can you? Because here comes the next piece. You look at someone like Eric Adams, who at first was like, okay, this is a asylum seeker crisis. Remember that story he came up with? I mean, well done. Good story. It's not migrants. It's asylum seeker crisis. That's what that is, right? That's what he said. Well, now it's a migrant crisis. You notice that? Now he's like, oh, borders are homing. You and me are buds now. We're buddies. I was your enemy a minute ago. Not anymore. Now we have, as he says, similar goals. That's what Eric Adams says now. So now we got similar goals. Weird how when the money dries up, weird how when Uncle Joe's not there to write a check anymore, all of a sudden, I got different friends. Huh. Who knew? Who knew Eric Adams was a Republican the whole time? I mean, some people did, but I'm just saying. Who knew he was a Republican the entire time? Look at that. Who knew how many people all of a sudden become libertarian when there's no more money? Yeah. Weird how that happens. Again and again, we see this happen. So I do think, even though this is a negative story, meaning we're seeing fraud, waste, and abuse, that's bad. And again, that 59 million, that's a drop in the bucket compared to all the rest of the fraud that we have. But at least we see it. At least we now know. Here it is. And you might say to yourself, Larry, it didn't seem to make sense. How could a city like New York, a state like New York, that's in debt, that has all kind of problems, how can it keep these migrants here? How can they do it? Well, Uncle Joe's writing you checks. It's easy. Just someone else's money. That's very easy. If I'm spending your money, I'm daddy big bucks. It's your money. I'll take your money and spend it all over the place. And that's what was happening. Well, that's gone now. This piece, I really enjoy tremendously. I love the idea that now the money's gone. But what's going to happen now? Well, we'll see. What do you think? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty. Back with your calls and your chat. I see you after the break.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies depicting the colorful WYSL logo or the already famous Mount Rushmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WYSL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
Yeah, and you see this most likable spokesperson poll?
Really? I might know somebody. Oh, we're looking forward to this today, aren't we?
Seriously, guys. We're a team. We're not competing against each other.
Ooh, who's a good spokesperson?
2 puppies? I did not expect that from you.
One of them's for you.
Oh,
Who's a good spokesperson? Yes, go Team West Her.
Welcome to Western New York.
Hi, my name is Evan Spindleman, founder and owner of Flood Broker. Flood insurance premiums are skyrocketing, and if you have to have flood insurance coverage to secure your mortgage, you owe it to yourself to call me to see how I can save you money on your flood insurance premium. The insurance programs I use are bank accepted and will satisfy your loan requirement. Please give me a call at 585-736-4366 today to get a free no obligation quote. That's 585-736-4366. Call today.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. It is Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty here in glorious Western New York. 585-346-3000 is the number to reach out. I brought up an old story from when I was a kid, 7 years old, 8 years old, walking to school, getting on a bus. And I think it brought some nostalgia back from some people who are listening and who are watching, thinking about when kids were more independent. Mike Voss is listening, and he says, nice story, back when kids were raised to be independent and self-sufficient. Yes, that's true. I walked to school when I was 6 years old. I just got up and walked to school. That was it. I was 6. Now, that's not a thing. Now I need 17 bodyguards, my uncle, my cousin, my father. I need everybody to show up so they can walk me to school so I won't die. And to be clear, it's not like I grew up in Mayberry. I grew up in the South Bronx. It was not, the nicest neighborhood is what I would say. It wasn't. And that's what you did. That's how you lived. That's how it worked. So, yes. Kim says, yes, and kids were also raised to be respectful and honor their mother and father. Sad this is no longer true this day and age. I think that's an issue. I agree with you on that. I think it's an issue. We should be raising our kids to be more self-sufficient, and we aren't. But that wasn't the point of the story, obviously. But let's talk about self-sufficient. Shouldn't states and cities be more self-sufficient? If the federal funding that Trump initially froze taught us anything, I hope it taught us this. Why is every state so dependent upon the federal government? If you remember all the complaints that you heard, the Democrats went nuts on this, crazy on this. Oh my God, the world's ending. We can't feed our kids. We can't send our kids to school. They rely on this money to keep our kids fed, to put them in school, for business owners to survive. Why? You can't feed your kids without Uncle Joe? What is wrong with you? You can't educate children without Uncle Joe? What is wrong with you? That's not a thing to be proud of. That's a thing to be embarrassed of. You should be embarrassed that New York State can't feed its own children without the federal government giving it money. That's an embarrassment. You should be embarrassed that we can't build roads. Their words, not mine, that we can't build roads without the federal government. That's an embarrassment. Not something you should be proud of. You should be like, oh my God, we can't do this? We found out that about 1/3, on average, of every state's budget comes from the government, the federal government. 1/3? What's wrong with you? I'll go one step further. We found out that about $3 trillion goes from us, the taxpayers,
Jerry.
up to the federal government and comes back. Why don't we just keep it? Why are we doing that? Let me grab a call if I could. I'm going to grab Jerry. How are you, sir?
Aloha, Larry. Great to talk to you. Former New Yorker for many, many years now. Made it to Hawaii. And you know what? We got the same problems here. We got the government funding the homeless. It's a business. It's inverse Robin Hoodism. Steal from the poor and give to the rich.
Yes. It's insane that we don't know why they won't fix it, but we set up a system that makes it dumb for them to fix it. And then we wonder why they won't.
They won't fix it because economically it makes sense for them to keep it in place. Because I was just with some people, they have hundreds of homes here for the homeless, and they get paid not only by federal, but by local and by state. I mean, it's just a huge profit center. So, we have to take care of the.
Why in the world would you try to have lower rents for families? Why? When you could instead just get guaranteed money by the government. And the best part about this for them is if they're homeless, that's bad, for the homeless, obviously, right? But they come in and the state and local gives them money. But if they're migrants, well, the federal gives them even more money. And the best part is migrants have the least rights of all of them. So now they don't have to give any good service. They can give them terrible service, ignore them, and get guaranteed money. And no one's ever going to complain because they don't want to get thrown out. It is win-win for the landlords.
Absolutely. Moving to another subject, we need to have a contest. Who's the worst governor in America? I'm going to propose our governor in Hawaii, Josh Green, is the worst. I know you've got a pretty bad one over there, but maybe we need to have a contest. The worst governors.
I love that idea. I mean, obviously, Gavin Newsom is going to try to win this, right? Of course, right? Because he wants to win everything. But but there's a bunch of bad ones. I, of course, think mine is the worst. New York is number one in so many bad things. Maybe this one too.
Hey, are there still no exemptions for religious reasons for vaccinations in New York?
No, I'm pretty sure we got around that one. The Catholic Church actually sued for that one. That was amazing. The Catholic Church actually sued. So yeah.
We got to do that because they're trying to push through a law here in Hawaii to take away everything except for severe medical issues. And that's just crazy.
Absolutely. No. New York has to. Our judges are so bad. We just say yes to whatever the government says. Our judges do not care about the Constitution. That gets in the way. So what they care about is what will the party in charge, Democratic Party, what will make them happy? And our judges go, okay, yes to that. That's what they do.
What a system, Larry. Well, thanks for being a voice of sanity out here in the world, and look forward to seeing you in a couple months when I'm back on the East Coast.
Perfect. I'll see you soon, my friend.
Aloha.
Aloha. So it's funny because the second Jerry started talking, all of a sudden the chat exploded, talking about who is the worst governor. Andrea pops up and says, Pritzker. I have a feeling Andrea lives in Illinois. Yeah, probably true. Kitty says Gretchen Whitmer. Boy, look what you did, Jerry. We're going to have like a contest somehow. You know what? I got to figure out a contest. I do. I got to figure out a contest. Frank says Kathy Hochul is by far the worst on planet Earth. Oh, we're all joking. Fred jumps on. Governor Jokel's the worst. We keep going. I think I'm going to have to make up an actual, some type of actual contest. I'm not sure how. I'll see what I can do. I will come up with some idea to make that happen. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let me grab a couple more of these comments. Peter says, bust them all to Suffolk County. That's kind of funny. But look, I would be, as I've said before, if Suffolk County actually wants the migrants, is not prepared to take other people to pay for it, and has a plan, let them have it. Let them have it. I have a feeling they won't, though. That's just my gut. I could be wrong. But again, we could if we want to. Am I crazy? Is Sherry right with this plan? I think he is. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Radio, the voice of liberty here in amazing Western New York. Back with your calls and more of your chat after the break.
God bless America.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon, Rochester. WLEA, WCKR FM, Cornell.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Mostly cloudy skies, maybe a couple of flurries, temps in the teens, low 20s on Wednesday. Quiet into the afternoon, then we're watching the evening for a bit of wet snow coming in. Could be a slushy inch or two, and then that'll chase to sleet and plain rain as temps climb overnight. Heading into Thursday, some showers in the morning, then turning sharply colder with a gusty wind into Thursday afternoon. I'm Rich Canilia for the Voice of Liberty.
FM Talk. Canisteo Valley Update.
Officials say the town of Canisteo is looking to 8 to 10 months until money comes in from FEMA for the August 2024 storm damage repairs to infrastructure. Town Supervisor Joe Harrington says this will be for the smaller repairs. In other news, this morning at the Steuben County Finance meeting, a county lawmaker asked why there was over $410,000 in overtime from the Steuben County Sheriff's Department last year. Sheriff Jim Allard says one big reason was the flood.
Well, when we had the flood in Jasper, we had almost the entire agency working on overtime.
And the sheriff says another big factor, of course, is bail reform.
Everything that we deal with has gone up since 2019, since bail reform.
The sheriff also says there was no waste in the overtime. Brian O'Neill for the Voice of Liberty.
Bob Savage here for Aaron Moore. As you feel those dropping temps, I invite you to do what we
have Keith.
Slash your heating costs.
You're welcome.
With Aaron Moore infrared zone heaters. They can save you big compared to just using your furnace. It's how we stay comfy here at Radio Ranch. Aaron Moore heats healthier. No burning of oxygen and particulates to dry out your nose and skin. You get even quiet heat that fills rooms with warmth, not dust and blower noise. Aaron Moore heaters are completely safe. No hot surfaces or heating elements to pose shock or fire hazards, plus complete safety for children and pets. For a limited time, save $30 on either size Aaron Moore and either the Comfort Deluxe size or the Compact Comfort Buddy for smaller areas. Specify discount code WYSL in your shopping cart. Free shipping in the continental U.S. and you'll never have to replace any bulbs because of Aaron Moore copper PTC technology. Maintenance-free Aaron Moore infrared zone heaters are the way to really save on heating bills. Call 800-707-8725 or visit air-more.com.
You get it all. Savings, selection, security, and satisfaction when you shop at Victor Chevrolet. Now, lease a 2025 Chevy Trax 1LT front-wheel drive for just $219 a month for 27 months. Get the cold weather safety and capability of a 2025 Chevy Trailblazer LT SUV for just $219 a month for 36 months. And then there's the 25 Chevy Equinox LT, only $253 a month for 36 months. A 24 Equinox 2 RS EV, just $249 a month for 36 months. Must have current Bolt EV or Bolt EUV in household and trade it in. $2,500 cash or trade equity. Tier 1 credit approval. Lessee responsible for repairs and maintenance. Must have lease and household for all. 10,000 miles per year for these lease deals. Conditions apply. Get details at dealer. Military, educator, healthcare, college grad, save even more. Whether you drive a Chevy or not, trust your vehicle to our Chevy certified service department. Come see how easy it is to do business with us. Together, let's drive at Victor Chevrolet, Route 96 in Victor. Visit victorchevrolet.com.
Looking for a less invasive option to open surgery? St. James and Jones Memorial Hospitals are now offering the Da Vinci surgical system for better surgeries, with smaller incisions, less pain, and a faster recovery. Your surgeon combines the expertise you trust with the precision of robotic-assisted tools, bringing you world-class care close to home. Trust your care to hometown experts with world-class technology at St. James and Jones Memorial. UR Medicine. Advances happen here.
FM Talk.
Now is the time to make sure your child is receiving education, not indoctrination. Archangel School is academically challenging, free of Common Core and critical race theory curricula, a brighter school experience that honors your traditional American values. If you're looking for an affordable Catholic faith-based school for your child from preschool through grade 12, come to Archangel School's open house on Thursday, March 6th from 6 to 7:30. Enroll now at archangelschool.com or call 585-247-1112.
We may worry about pipes freezing or getting irritated when our car doesn't warm up quickly, but imagine living without a home in this weather, surviving outside.
Frostbite and hyperthermia are a reality. You can help by giving to opendoormission.com today.
Dependable Disposal offers weekly residential trash and recycle tote service. Dependable Disposal, local business, local people you know. Call Dependable Disposal 585-505-1500. Let's see what we can do for you.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. Larry Sharpe back here on Sharpe Way Radio, 585-346-3000 is the number. So we were talking about bad governors, and boy, did people stop popping up. Duke of Heck says, come on, people, no contest. Gavin Newsom is as bad as they come. Nicholas jumps up and says, Queen Kathy, the first, is the worst. He even rhymed when he did it. Boy, are people talking about how bad their governors are. And I got to say, I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that people are actually saying their governors are bad. Maybe we can change them. Let me grab a call if I could. I'm going to grab Keith. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Hopefully you too. The caller, Jerry, mentioned the lousy governors, but people still keep voting for them. I have heard that Hochul's lieutenant governor is not endorsing her. Maybe he plans to run himself, so maybe that'll break up the log jam there. The second thing, I just wanted to say, in a perfect world, we would not have illegals, but I want to ask about where they end up living. In New York City in the 1820s, we had Hell's Kitchen, which was so bad the police would not go in there.
Yep.
Next month, March, we honor the 114th remembrance year of the Triangle Waist Shirt fire there in New York City that killed 146 immigrant young women, mainly Jewish and Italian.
Yep.
In the late 19th century, there was a famous Danish photographer. He was taking pictures of the tenement slums and advocated change there. And so I could go on and on. Even one of my favorite movies from 1938, Angels with Dirty Faces, starring Pat O'Brien and James Cagney. You, Mr. Sharpe, know that movie?
I don't. I just wrote it down. I'm going to have to go watch it now.
Oh, it's very good. Angels with Dirty Faces. The release year was 1938. The Pat O'Brien character goes off the right way, becomes a priest. James Cagney playing the form is a mobster and ends up going to the electric chair, breaks down. And
don't give me the whole thing. I want to watch it. Keith, don't blow it for me.
All right. Well, it's very good. Sometimes people say they're going to do things and they don't, but you're
No, I literally wrote it down. I am going to watch it.
Angels with Dirty Faces. In closing, I have to ask, so I mentioned Hell's Kitchen, the 1820s, carrying right up now to modern times. Why can't we find places, even for people who should not be here? Like in 1811, they laid out the grid for Manhattan, but it always seems that the slums, there are no pavements here in America, as the immigrants were told, pave the roads that are not paved in gold, as they found out, sadly. I don't want to be naive in closing and ask you, but we just can't seem to come up always with good housing to house people. I mean, we're going to have people come in from all over the world, and naively and foolishly or whatever, even on my part, I'm always aghast that we can't find adequate housing generation after generation. And I think this really does help breed poverty, of course, and outright crime. And it goes on and on. We blame, like when they say 75% of crime in Manhattan, that Times Square is from the illegals, but the housing
let me touch these.
A stickler.
Yeah, let me touch these. Your point is very valid. The first one being, we can't even house our own Americans, right? We are having a horrible housing crisis in general. And the migrant crisis makes that worse. This is to Jerry's point. He knows people who have places that you could be renting out, hotels who could be helping people who are homeless, Americans who are homeless. There was a story about here in New York, how some of the hotels were actually throwing out homeless veterans to take in migrants. And the image was they're evil and they hate veterans. No, it was all about cash. You get more money and guaranteed money for migrants because that's federal money versus the homeless veterans was state money. That's why they threw it out. They're like, oh, the state money's less and might go away because the state just can't print money. The federal government can just print money and it's more of it. So we'd rather have them. It wasn't because they hate vets. It's because they didn't care. They just wanted whatever was the most money that was the most steady. That's why that actually happened. The system is the problem, to be very forward with you, Keith. It isn't the people. It's the system. The system is set up so that nothing new gets built. New York City has rules to where if you knock down a building that has, say, 3 stories, you must replace it with a 3-story building. What? Well, then I can't make enough money. And then there's rent control. So why would I do anything? We are encouraging slums. And so we have slums. Instead of saying, knock it down and build what you want. Now, the problem is you might go, but that would be bad, Larry, because then the rich would win. That's who's winning now. Because the rich people get exceptions, right? Why do you think Trump is so tenacious? Because he was just born tenacious? No, he learned to be tenacious in New York City real estate by suing everybody, suing everything, and fighting to the death on everything. So people would just go, fine, build your skyscraper. I'm not ready to fight with you for years and drop millions of dollars. Trump, you win. That's literally how we learned it. So the wealthy people who can afford to sue, build what they want, and the average person is stuck. So the system is what screws us over. That's number one. Number two, we don't have a system to where local people want to bring people in. There used to be an issue where, for example, if you came from Italy, there would be an Italian community that would help support you. They spoke Italian. Would they take advantage of you? Of course they would. Government does too. But at least it was your own people who would take advantage of you to a point where you could grow and you could take the next group of people coming in and take advantage of them. And then they kept growing. And you paid your dues when you came here and you grow and became popular and powerful. That was supposed to happen. Now we don't have anywhere near that anymore. We don't have any systems for communities to take people in. Are there areas that would love to bring in migrants? Yes. And you find it often in the black market, usually of farmers. Lots of farmers, particularly upstate New York, have a whole system to bring people in. It's all black market. They take care of their housing and they have them work on a farm. It's against the law. It's black market. Why don't we make that not black market? If you're a farmer and you want to bring these people aboard and you, good, do it. You're paying for them. You're taking care of them. You have adequate housing. It's legal. So if you take advantage of them, there is punishment for you. So you can't be that horrible. That's the issue. The problem is the system, isn't the individual people. The wealthy people aren't evil. They're apathetic. They just want what they want. If we make a better system for them, they will do better things. Not because they care, because we've incentivized them to do the right thing. We don't do that. Why? Because government keeps its power by handing out jobs, by handing out money. Government is a massive jobs program. I said before and I'll say it again, $3 trillion leaves New York and other states, goes to DC just to come back. Why? Control. And of that $3 trillion that goes, at least 25% is just straight grift, giving people jobs, giving people money, stealing our money. At least. It's probably a whole lot more, but that's the minimum. If that just stayed in our states, then we could do things in our states without the grift. We just keep our own money. There's lots of people who care about migrants, who want to take care of them, who want to house them. Lots of people do. Great. Then let them. Why are we fighting them? If they want to do it, let them. There's literally thousands of people in New York City who would love to house migrants because they feel that it's right or they care about it, or they have businesses for them, whatever. Let them. We can't, because there's no power and money involved. I hope I answered your question, Keith.
He's gone.
Yes, it is always about the system. You will always hear me say that because that's what it's about. That most important business brought up. Kitty says, isn't that called money laundering? Yes, Kitty, it is. Thank you for that. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on the Voice of Liberty. Sharpe Radio. Back with your calls and more of your chat after the break.
Donald Trump and conservatives may have won, but you know the left will.
Yeah, I had gotten off the line with Keith because we have Roger next,
especially our children.
and we were getting close to a break.
Try something different in 2025. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Reach our huge audience, entertained, inspired, and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable, effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 585-346-3000 to advertise.
Most banks offer you a choice. Or maybe it would be better to say they demand a choice. Technology so you can bank like you want to, or relationships so you can get advice when you need it. But when you choose to bank with Tompkins, you can have it all. Powerful technology and the power of a face-to-face talk about your future. Because both are part of the best banking relationship you'll ever have. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Open an account today at tompkinsbank.com.
Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery has a great deal on Tuesdays. A large 4-topping pizza for $18, regular or gluten-free. Call 226-9575. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery in Avon.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. Get your rifle, shotgun, or pistol serviced and tuned before you take it to the field. Open from 10 a.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Avon Gun, East Main Street, next to Tompkins Community Bank.
Sharpe Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Radio on the Voice of Liberty. So happy that you're giving me a small chunk of your afternoon. I do want to pop up because I have so many comments. Let me grab Sarah. She says, I would just like migrants to feel totally welcome and not live in fear. To have freedom, you must have strict rules and defense. I agree with you, Sarah. I've never been against migrants, ever. A lot of people are. I'm not. I'm against migrants with no plan, with no way of taking care of them, with no way of protecting them. If you're not prepared to do that, then don't bring the migrants in. If you want to be a sanctuary city, okay, I'm with you, Sarah. You don't get to have federal funds and have a plan where they can be welcome, where they don't live in fear, where, to Keith's point, where they have some actual housing. If you can't do that, then you should not be a sanctuary city. That's the issue. And what I'm seeing is we can't do that. So we shouldn't be a sanctuary city until we can do that. So I'm with you. We're doing the worst of the worst. The migrants get punished, the local people get punished, and all the landlords make tons of cash. Jerry said it. I said it. We see it. FEMA gave them $59 million. Sarah, where's my cut? Where's your cut? Where's Keith's cut? If they're giving out $59 million, where's our cut? Where's all the people in the Bronx who are screaming and crying? Where's their cut? They don't get it. The wealthy people get it. The migrants suffer, and the average person suffers. I'm with you. Let me grab a call if I could. This is Roger. Roger, how are you, sir?
All right, better connection this week.
Okay.
Listen, send love out to JB. He's in the hospital with the fever of 103.
Oh my God, I didn't know. I will reach out. Thank you for that.
Also, if we were a ballot initiative state, we could run a ballot initiative that says we're not a ballot initiative state, but we'll give home rule to municipalities to decide if they want to be a sanctuary municipality. If so, then you have to find a way to fund it yourself. So it's piggybacking off what you're saying with the federal government, but no state money either. Number three, if the federal government cuts off funding, I will say we will be in a better position than other states because we're a high tax state. So we already have money because there's a lot of taxes in this system. I mean, the NTA's budget is bigger than a lot of states, for instance.
True.
However, here's the thing. Who will suffer the most are Republican states, especially the 9 states with no state income tax and with low taxes, because they depend on the federal government even more. So if anything, they would have to do something about that. I say a public bank to because it allows you to build a surplus without having to raise taxes or create existing taxes while creating jobs and infrastructure and so on and so forth. But
so let me touch both of those together, if I could. If we actually had a ballot initiative and we allowed municipalities to be sanctuary municipalities, but they couldn't take any state or federal funds, I wouldn't be angry at that. I'd be okay with that. That means now a local municipality is deciding it wants to go on its own. Okay, you're responsible. Find an answer for that stuff. If you can't, maybe you need to change your mind. I'm okay with that. But now I'm adding your point, because now a municipality could create a local bank if it wanted to. It could create that as a way of financing itself. You mentioned taxation. The problem is New York State only gets about $90 billion in income taxes every year, give or take, depends upon the year. And our budget's over 200. So we have to make money other ways. And that can be challenging for us, New York State. New York State probably is somewhere in the area of $400 to $500 billion in debt. So yes, we're better off than some, but we're not good. The one that will go under first is probably Illinois. Illinois is a basket case. Odds are, if they cut off all funding, Illinois will go under and go in receivership in about 2 to 3 years, which means its debt will be absorbed by the federal government. Yes, money print to go burr, and the federal government will take over its finances and basically reboot it. It's like a bankruptcy procedure for the state. So I think that's what would happen. But I do like the idea of allowing for public banking and then allowing that because it supports what I love, which is localism. The idea of credit unions, the idea of public banking. I like the concept to foster more localism. I'm with you, Roger. I agree.
Cool. I still think one of the red states would go under first.
Maybe. Thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate it.
All right.
So look, I think he's got a valid point. I think localism is a good way of starting this, because this goes back to kind of what Keith was talking about. If we had real localism in New York State, then local people could decide,
Craig,
hey, we want migrants in our area, in our city, in our county, in our whatever. And we're prepared to take them. We're prepared to pay for them. Send them. Good. Enjoy. Don't have a problem at all with that at all. Let me grab another call if I could. This is Craig. Craig, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Larry?
What's going on?
Oh, well, so yeah, the migrants. I don't know if you've covered this part or not yet, but I've seen a story. There was a place in New Jersey, and apparently I think they have a location in the city as well. But they were raided supposedly by ICE, according to a TikTok, and it wasn't true. It didn't happen. So now they've lost all sorts of business because they had a large Hispanic customer base. They won't come in there now. So this is kind of like the thing that you talk about with, if it was just open that the bad guys, we could get the bad guys, no one else would be scared. They'd go about their business. So is that how that's going to happen? Or do we see the point now where, like, if you're Hispanic, like you've got a target on your back. People are already suspicious and they don't care. That's the problem, is the apathy. You know, if people are like, yeah, well, whatever, you know, are people going to, are people going to stand up, or are we just going to let people be shipped off, you know, papers because you look like you might be from south of the border?
Well, this was my biggest worry. My biggest concern was that there would be an overzealousness. Is that a word? It is now. There'll be an overzealousness in arresting people. That is my concern. Now, what you're talking about is not just an overzealousness in arresting, but in reporting things. And now we're making people scared. Now, if I'm against this, that's what I would be doing. I would be putting in fake stories, right? Saying, oh my God, they're arresting everybody. Everyone's going to jail. I would do that because, to your point, it will create more fear. We are seeing that right now in the Bronx. In the Bronx, you are seeing what they're calling ghost towns. It's not really ghost towns, but they're calling it ghost towns as an exaggeration. That's the point. As an exaggeration, they're saying the Bronx is a ghost town now because a lot of migrants don't want to come to work because they're afraid they're going to get arrested. Now, there's a good and a bad to this. The bad to this is it is starting to hurt some of the local businesses. That's true. The good part is some of the local businesses are going to have to try to hire some local people instead of hiring migrants, and you have to pay them more, and it has to be on the books. Now, that's going to hurt some local bodegas because they are against paying extra money for the bodegas. I get it, but they should be hiring Americans and paying the right amount. But here's the problem with that. The problem with that is the system is set up to where crime and you can't defend yourself and people stealing makes it harder for them to survive. So this goes back to my system issue, Craig. If the system is made to where you can't defend yourself and you're losing money from people stealing from you, you can't afford to hire Americans. Well, let's fix that problem. This goes back to making every single thing legal, make it transparent, and allowing Americans to defend themselves and to not just get robbed and to let people back out into the streets. Now, the advantage is, here's the good part, is that a lot of the people who were responsible, who were migrants, are actually leaving New York City. They're packing up and leaving. Some are heading back. Some are going to other places, but they're not coming in, which means there should be, in theory, a bit less crime. That should happen. Now, don't get me wrong. All the crime isn't migrants. That's a story people tell you. A chunk of it is. So that should go away or at least lessen. Does that make sense, Craig?
Yeah. Well, no. So that I agree that if you know that someone's looking at you, you're probably going to run away if you're doing illegal stuff. So that's a good thing. But do people understand that okay, now the bad guys are gone, every person that looks like they might be Hispanic is not an illegal? I feel like we've set that precedent now where there's an apathy where it's like, yeah, whatever, throw the bums out. And it's like, well, these guys might be citizens.
It's a good point. And I think there will be some collateral damage. And I hate it, but I think it is true. Guys, thank you for the call, Greg. Everyone, I want to say thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.